With all the news about David Ayer's version of the Suicide Squad all over the place, I thought it was a great time to gather all that information and break it all down for you. So let's take a couple minutes to talk about the Ayer Cut. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we got a little breakdown of the Ayer Cut. But first, we wanted to remind everybody, if you're looking for your place for all your comic book news, rumors, and reviews, all while looking for the best and positive in those characters we love, make sure you hit that like button and press subscribe. Well, since we got the announcement the other week that Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League was coming to HBO Max, there's been a ton of fan push for David Ayer's version of the Suicide Squad. Now, this has been propped up quite a bit by the director himself, who for the most part hasn't had a lot to say about the film in the past, but since the announcement has let fans know there's one heck of a different version out there for us to see. Now, apparently, Ayer's version of the film is a soulful drama. And if you remember that first trailer, it really gave you that vibe. It was a much different version than the one we actually got in the theater. Now, what we hear is this was a Justice League primer, and now he's getting a lot of support from other DCEU alumni for his project and to get this released. So let's collect and break down all the details for the Ayer Cut so that we actually know what we might see. We do know a full version of this movie actually exists. They screened it, and they got feedback for it before it was changed. Like we said, this is a massive Justice League primer and has a much darker tone to match Zack Snyder's universe. Now, there's a little bit of comedy in it, but it definitely lacks that comedic tone that we got eventually in the theaters. According to David Ayer, Deadpool actually influenced the release of this film and the change of tone. But I gotta be honest, it actually reminds me quite a bit of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, according to David Ayer, one of the major plot differences was the Enchantress. She was actually under the control of a mother box, and the plot itself was completely different. Now, all these strings were being pulled by Steppenwolf, who was preparing for the invasion of Earth. The actual invasion we eventually saw in the Justice League. Now, one interesting difference in the Enchantress is she would have been controlled by the mother box and Steppenwolf, creating the desire to save her by Rick Flag a little more of a compelling story than we actually got in the finished product. One other area as it relates to the Justice League would have been the parademons. Now, we were stuck with those sort of bubble-headed looking creatures that a lot of fans really didn't care much for. But apparently, in the original version, those creatures were going to be parademons. There's even quite a bit of concept art that details this, and they do look quite scary. Now, one area of the film that we know was absolutely butchered was Jared Leto's The Joker. And David Ayer has teased that Jared Leto's performance is the lost one in the Suicide Squad movie. Now, leading up to its release, we saw all kinds of details about the Joker that we never actually saw in the final film. And many fans were pretty much let down that the Joker was completely absent from the third act. Quite a few differences exist in Ayer's version of the film. First and foremost, the Joker is actually in the third act and makes a deal with the Enchantress to try to get back Harley. But Harley actually stands with the new team and against Joker, providing some separation there. This probably would have impacted that post-credit scene where she's rescued from Arkham at the end, but who knows. One of the other differences was Monster T, played by Common. That scene ended a little bit differently. Now in the final product, the Joker actually kills him, but in Ayer's version of the movie, which like we said was a lot darker, the Joker goads him actually successfully into committing suicide and shooting himself. Now, one of the other major things in the movie that was taken out was the rivalry between the Joker and Batman. Apparently, that damaged tattoo was specifically put there to taunt Batman. And after killing Robin, later clarified as the Dick Grayson version of Robin by David Ayer, he has a little message put into his teeth specifically as a jab at Batman. Now, one detail about this that Ayer points out is that the timeline he laid out was actually broken. Now, when the screen comes up for Harley and details all of her crimes of the past, it points to being an accomplice to Robin's murder. But according to Ayer, the Joker actually killed Robin and got those teeth that say F you to the Batman long before Harley came onto the scene. Now, one other minor thing about Harley was the Joker was not her only love interest, and according to David Ayer, Deadshot was supposed to be part of a love triangle with her. If you're familiar with the Assault on Arkham animated movie, this love triangle actually plays out in that feature, and although Harley does eventually end up with the Joker, it does provide for a funny Yahtzee moment. Now, several other characters had some other scenes or a little bit of a different path. We do know based on Slipknot actor Adam Beach that he got a full intro scene, which we never saw from Amanda Waller. We also know that Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, was referred to as the heart of the team by David Ayer and had a much more expanded role in the film than he was given. If you remember, he's actually killed at the end battling Incubus. And although David Ayer really didn't give any details about how it turned out in the original film, clearly they had some plans for his character moving forward. And finally, Katana, who fans were more than a little disappointed in. We really didn't get a lot of Katana in the movie, and we saw some of her in the previews that we never actually got in the film. Apparently, there is a sequence in the film where Katana is possessed by the Enchantress, and actually turns her skills and that nasty sword on the whole team. Now obviously, there's a lot of other moving pieces here, and quite honestly, probably parts of the film that David Ayer has not mentioned yet, so I'm sure more details about this will come out. I know many fans really want to see his version of the movie, and I would pretty much count me as one of them. Since the movie, it was basically finished before those test screenings were done before, I can't imagine this would be a high-cost output for HBO Max. With all the free publicity, and the replies from AT&T themselves that it could be coming and to be a little patient, I actually think this one might happen too. What do you guys think? Do you want to see David Ayer's version of the Suicide Squad? And what character are you most excited to see get an expanded role? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.